In this video, we'll discuss what facial hair points to in relation to face reading theory, as well as some ideas to consider. Enjoy. Hey everybody, for today's face reading tutorial, we're going to be talking about facial hair. A subscriber had asked about this. I have touched on this topic in the past, but I'm going to do a quick overview of this and a little bit of a review from that prior video. Also, before going on to that, for everyone, I've made this announcement in my last video, but I have started a Buy Me a Coffee account, which is basically a place where I can accept donations. So if you are liking the free content that you're getting, the educational efforts that I'm putting out, and you're finding value in my content, please consider contributing to that account. That information will be in the video description box, as well as on the screen right here. So that being said, facial hair. People ask, what does facial hair mean in the context of face reading? What I can say is, not as much as you might think, but there are some underlying metrics that I think are worth considering. I'm going to keep this this conversation in the context of men, biological men. When men grow facial hair, by default, by kind of the natural order according to face reading theory, we're looking at an increase in yang metrics. So anytime we have more beard on the face in any capacity, this is said to essentially, at the subconscious viewership level, when people look at the face, there's an implied energy of more yang. And usually when men have facial hair, they are calling upon or commanding more yang. Not a bad thing. It's just what it is. I'm a man personally who has had facial hair most of my life. I've got a mustache now. I've had handlebars in recent weeks and months, goatee. I've had a full beard. I've done it all, and I like to change it up. So for me, it's kind of aesthetic. But the thing I want you to think about is that when we see the growth of a beard and we have that capacity, this is actually kind of a surplus, or I would say kind of an identifying metric for the wood element. So if we think about the face, one of the places we all grow hair is right here. This is where the hair grows up on the wood geography, right up here. Now, you may remember also the wood element relates to the jaw. Not specifically the chin, but the jaw. If we think of this collective unit right here, that is all wood related. And this is where beards basically grow. They grow on the lower portion of the face, and you can argue, yes, that the beards also grow into the metal element as well. But you want to think, this is the wood geography, and therefore when we see a lot of growth down here, we're seeing kind of a surplus of wood. And if you're wondering, you're like, well, the chin is water, as I've mentioned many times. Is this about water? And it's like, yes, technically, because sure, the water element regulates the kidneys. It also relates to the filtration and blood and that kind of thing. And you have to have good blood to grow a good beard, according to Chinese medicine. So that being said, the things I want you to think about in terms of what facial hair means is usually the person wearing facial hair in some capacity is calling upon more yang. So that's sort of a natural disposition of what you can see and pick up from them. The other thing to think about is that men that can grow very thick beards, they've done studies on this, and face reading would say this also, but there's research around this that talks about how if you're able to grow a full beard or able to get solid, good facial hair, there's a very likely chance that somewhere along your bloodline back in history that you had some warriors in the bloodline, people that fought or were in combat. Because what they talk about too is that when a beard is thick, it actually acts like an insulating layer from contact, from being hit from implements or fists or, feet or whatever's being thrown at the face. So when that is there, they say there's probably a bloodline or a Jing association to some kind of combat. Therefore, in that regard, playing off of the wood metrics, which is about martial arts and being aggressive and being dominant and that kind of thing, people that can grow good facial hair, this is an avenue they might want to consider. If you've never explored martial arts and that kind of thing, these are things to consider. But it definitely points to also quality of blood. So if you have a good solid beard, that means that the blood usually is pretty strong because facial hair is pulled from the blood, according to Chinese medicine. So those are the basic things. If you guys have any questions around facial hair beyond that, which you probably do, please feel free to ask them down below, and I will do my best to answer them. Take care.